Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 20-Sided Archives, Chronicles of Umaria, Chapter 1, Shadow Falls. We are on episode 7, which is
Woo!
insane. I never thought we would get this far. But welcome. I am here, as always, with Jared, Brian,
Howdy.
Casey. Um,
I'm tired.
Where's our magic fourth person?
our magic fourth person
Shrub.
is Shrub.
Yeah!
Who is alive?
Who is currently being
Right?
held by
No thanks to you! I just smashed my desk and my camera jittered.
Let's begin with a quick little recap. Last where we had left off, a battle ensued between a rival cannibal tribe group vying for territory, land, and food, and decided that today would be the day they would attack the village of Flexath. Thava, Seven's sister, met them full force in return, with our trio entering the fight as well. Combat ensued. Thava was critically injured, retaining a fracture within her one leg. In retaliation, Theven forced a transformation using his ring that he had received from Emuum's chief, and as a result, proceeded to then, no longer having a target after killing the cannibal abomination, attack Shrub, our lovely druid's companion and familiar. After the chief of the cannibals, the commander, died, he used a special rattle that summoned two odd cat-like creatures with tentacles on their back that we know as displacer beasts. They arrived and did a pretty hefty number on the overall party. Redwood forced himself to transform into a bear using his wild shape for the second time in his life, taking a rather big step in doing so. Threw one of the displacer beasts at Theven, missed, managed to get it off of him though, as Theven was also having his shit kicked in while also drowning by his aunt, who held him under the bog water.
It was a great time.
It was fantastic. Chisel wasn't getting hit, at all, which was hilarious.
No, I did get hit. A
did
lot,
get hit?
actually.
Oh,
He just survived. He tanked it.
I see.
I'm at 27 out of 47 HP currently.
You got hit more by the cannibals than the displacer beasts, though, because I remember the displacer beasts kept missing you. But we are here hours later. A mysterious figure had appeared, claiming her name to be Anwin, and her companion, who I gave the wrong name for. I had named him Vine, when in reality his name is Dogwood. I had blanked on his name because of the moment, but we're fixing it, we're retconning it. Anwin with surprising abilities and a strange appearance to her, even stranger than the princess, Rissa, had up and arrived to help, forcing the displacer beasts to retreat, knocking Theven out before he could cause any more harm to himself or to his companions. And that leads us to here, in this moment, hours later. Redwood and Chisel, we will be beginning with you.
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. Redwood. You and Chisel had both been instructed to lay down in one of the many bed rolls that they had set up within the infirmary cavern within the village. You had fallen asleep due to the severity of your injuries, if I recall, leaving on 1 HP.
It was a fun time.
I will say that you guys did take a long rest. You would have been in your own, like, separate sort of states of rest for the past few hours. Redwood, when you wake up, you don't feel good. Not necessarily that you haven't rested enough to sort of get over everything that had happened, but you feel sick. For a moment, it takes you a bit to open your eyes, and when you finally do, you realize that you are encased in some sort of glowing golden dome. And it's see-through. You can see people on the other side, like it's translucent. But you see on the outside of the dome's circle that makes up its circumference that you lay in, there are various runes marked in a white chalk.
Shrub. Chisel?
You roll me a perception check, please.
Boop.
Deep down,
15.
You look around and you see that Chisel is not too far from you, but a good distance away, and he's actually in a similar bubble to you, still asleep, still regaining his health back and doing what he needs to be fully rested for whatever you're about to prepare for next. Shrub is in the bubble with you. She's heavily bandaged. She is asleep. And when you call out to her, you see that she does kind of respond with a single, like, ear twitch. Like her conscious is still picking up your sort of familiarity and your call to her and all that, but she is not, you don't exactly know fully what 100% happened to her, as you were busy with other matters, such as the Displacer Beast, but you can assume that whatever happened to her in that moment wasn't great.
He reaches down a hand and I realize there's probably some healing going on, but I am going to cast Cure Wounds at 2nd level.
Okay.
Just to help along any process, because, yeah.
You cast Cure Wounds. And I'm actually curious, since you are now a multi-classing into wizard, what does your druidic magic look like now? Does it look any different?
I have a feeling that he's found a way to weave that thread-like wizard power into his branches of druidic, and it almost grows like sprouts. Bushes, the cartoon trees children draw, where it comes from a trunk to just a bush. It has branches in multiple directions, and as he reaches towards her, it sort of blossoms in her direction, enveloping her in that little bit of cottony cloud, because this is one of his druid spells.
You cast the spell on your companion. The roots and sprouts reaching outward. You watch as the tension that she was holding from the pain begins to slowly relax. You can see that she actually, like, there was, like, clear tension in her neck as she wasn't holding her head fully down, even in her sleep. As she just full on finally limps. Her face even goes slack in the moment. You look around. I'm going to give you a couple of options here. Arcana, medicine, or insight for whatever is happening around you.
Uh, I'm gonna go with medicine because that's my higher at 10.
You're not 100% certain as to the bubble or the runes around you. You can guess that whatever happened to you in the bog, the injuries that you sustained, the reason you're encircled in this stuff, you recognize healing magic. Although this is different than what you've ever seen before. You can sort of ascertain in this moment that this is kind of like a quarantine, and the sick feeling that you have was probably some sort of illness that got into your body from your injuries or for some other case while fighting in the swamp. Just, you eventually wake up as well. You see a similar scene. You actually see redwoods stirring a little bit. You
No,
still...
I can't.
Fuck, you're right.
I wake up the darkness. I can see.
You don't see it, but you feel something intertwining with your own sort of body and spirit. And you too feel nauseous as well. You can also roll me a couple of things: medicine, insight, or arcana.
Let's see.
Not
Medicine,
good, not
Arcana,
good,
or
terrible.
Insight, right?
Yep.
Insight. 14.
You feel awful. You feel absolutely terrible. Not just from the injuries that you sustained from the fight, but you feel sick. Normally, you know not to trudge through bog water or anything like that because the things that are laced within it from parasites and bacteria and things like that. You just know it's bad to ingest as well. But you feel disgusting. Like, you feel horrible. And as you guys are both registering this feeling of feeling sick and disgusting and not great, you hear the sound of shuffling footsteps. One foot is sounding very heavier than the other, as the sound of boots, like, or some sort of sandal or shoe scuffs against the stone after the first. So it's like thump, thump, as if someone is limping. You can see in this moment Thava. She is in her strange half-animalistic form. A couple of you have gotten very few glimpses of during the fight. Her leg is in a splint, wrapped heavily in cloth bandage. She is using a tall walking stick that she is leaning very heavily against. As she sees that you guys are all awake, and her ear kind of twitches. Oh, so you guys did live. Look at that.
No thanks to someone, but yes. Do you know any... Wait,
What?
you said Anwen was your teacher. What should we know about her?
Baba kind of sits down on the ground, sighing as pressure is released from her leg. Well, she is a fae, along with her companion. is a fey creature. So, she's not from here or any of our lands. She comes from someplace else. I don't know exactly how she described it. I don't remember. It was a lot to take in, but she is a master of beasts and beast kind, if that makes sense. So, like animals, things like that, have a very particularly special connection to her. She's also very tapped in with nature. Um, so she can, manipulate plants and the like.
So the perfect companion for Thevin.
I don't think a person who is a master of beast should be around Thevin.
But he's a beast. He can transform
Well,
into
he's
anything, right?
also likely to, kill them, beast form, eat them, or non-beast form, just shoot them.
But she, but
Also,
she.
I do not think Thevin would like to spend time with his sister. From what I've seen, they really don't get along.
Bava leans
I'm
back.
very confused.
Bava leans back on her hands a little bit and goes, "So, he didn't tell you anything, did he? As to how
It's Thevin.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You watch as she kind of rubs her face, thinks for a minute. Well, guess I'll have to tell you then. Thevin, when he first got his curse, or whatever it is that is afflicting him, killed our family.
That would put a damper on things.
He came home from a hunt one day. It seems like the hunt went fine. They brought back decent kills, enough to feed the family for the evening. We all went to bed. That same night, I woke up to screams, the sounds of flesh being torn away from flesh and bone. The family member I remember having the most vivid reaction to this was our grandmother. In her attempt to get him off, she clawed at his face, resulting in the scars that I'm assuming you have seen at this point.
Oh.
He has scars?
Mm-hmm. He's got sort of like these straight line up and down scars, like in the area of his cheeks.
Izzle, I think I'm going to take time and write a small notebook of people's faces. So the moment you can see, you know what people will look like. We're going to make a book of scraps for you to look at faces.
What's a book? It's just no starts.
It's just
Printing
I've
presses.
been around a lot of places. By God, someone better have writing.
Writing is a thing. Books aren't.
books aren't. We have tablets and stones.
Stone tablets, leather skins.
If you're really fancy, scrolls.
If you're really, really fancy.
I'm just going to now imagine that Chisel at the end of this campaign is just going to have a massive, scroll on his back and just points to every person he's met.
No, we're gonna get like a carabiner and get like little tiny sized leather circles that we draw faces on, so he has a little carabiner of faces.
Bava looks to you two and goes, I don't know what happened, but eventually he snapped out of it. He didn't say a word to me about it. He was very silent. Almost like he wasn't fully there. So, after that, we left. We left almost immediately. In the dead of night, in winter, it was freezing. We journeyed all the way down to the dead mire. And he just left me there. And Flexath with her aunt. No explanation. No word for 5 years. Just like that, he was gone, and I haven't seen him until today. And so, hasn't bothered reaching out or anything. So you can probably understand why I'm angry with him.
Well, with the events that occurred, he probably felt more guilty than anything. He most likely left so that you wouldn't have to face him for what he's done, and he wouldn't have to face you and perchance hurt you again.
It still would have been nice to hear something, to know he was alive, instead of finding out through him trying to shoot me when he arrived. I could have, have been told of the chance that he was coming, or that he even felt sorry for what he did.
Maybe he thought it'd be better if you thought he was dead.
I don't know. But what I do know is that he is needed for the ceremony.
What I know is you also shot us.
Yeah, because I also didn't know you. You are very much someone who does not look like you are from around here. You understand that,
Exactly. Right? So how I can't be like a rival tribe. I didn't even fucking know you were there.
I've also spent almost my entire life either in the Knotted Rise or here. I don't get out much, and it's not exactly like I have the opportunity to do so.
Yes. Faults on both ends. Maybe fire a warning shot.
I mean, I did, technically. It just happened to be that I was a little too accurate.
Your warning shot was in Chisel's neck.
Is that what that was? I thought it was a bug.
No, that was a dart that was supposed to paralyze you.
And I'm the only one it worked on. Congratulations.
You have a very weak constitution, if that's the case, then.
And you have a terrible personality. Are we done?
What?
You guys are both pretty. Shut up. Are we done? How's that?
Roll me an insight check with advantage, please.
Just internal pain.
I would like to mention that Jared is fucking dying, by the way. He's with advantage.
Honestly, all of us are.
Advantage with an 11. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
You...
Even with a +4 for insight.
I am not a social person.
You look at Thava in this moment. You see similarities to her personality with Theven. You see the familial similarities and differences in their facial and physical structure. The hair and everything almost makes it uncanny. If you didn't know Theven as
candy?
well... Shut up!
Shush.
If you didn't know Theven as much as you know him now, and haven't gone through as much as you've gone with him for the past few days, you would think that they were, at first glance, you would think that they were twins. But you also notice the odd appearance of the fur and the paws and the ears and the slitted eyes that are a little bit wide to show that she is comfortable in the situation, if a little in pain from the fracture that she had retained from the fight.
Everything aside, how is your leg?
Fine. I heal faster than others, so I should be better soon.
A broken leg is not an easy fix. I am not a cleric, I'm not a healer, but I'm a person who travels, and I know that when you're injured, you shouldn't travel.
Well, it's a good thing I don't plan on traveling, but I am being sincere when I say I heal faster than others.
Faster does not mean easier.
True. I am not fully elf anymore. I haven't been for a long time. About 3 years, I'd think.
Wait, you're an elf?
Well, I'm part elf.
You saw her.
And I saw her with different ears than an elf.
I still look like an elf when normal, but
You look like a person.
That is very descriptive. Thank you.
It's just
Now that I think about it, has Chisel met anyone that isn't an elf?
no, he hasn't.
No, you've met Bella, who is a gnome.
Yes, who is a gnome,
You've
like me.
You've also met humans, such as Nuntius. So you have met other.
I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him though.
You have not. That is true. The only
So every person I've seen is an elf.
The 2 hours he had sight, he's encountered a village of elves and a gnome.
But you all, watch as she kind of takes you in. Anwin has been teaching me some of the ways of the Fae for the past few years, in order to help me better defend the people here. The
I think I've met a Fae, if that's right. People who are overly magical jungle-fied.
You met the princess and her guard.
That's incredibly specific. Is there a very small amount of Fae?
No. So she came to the dead Maya first before traveling up north. She was visiting Anwin and checking in and helping us as well. Which is why we know her.
Okay, that still does not tell me how you knew it was You know what? I don't know what Fae can and cannot do. I do not know what a princess is. I do not know Fae magic. I do not know shit about shit outside of the fucking Woodjure expanse. So, swamp life.
Would you like me to explain my deal? Or do you want to wait another day for when you are fully, out of bed and cognizant more?
I am stuck in the bed. All I can do is think.
Okay.
I feel like we should have everyone here for an explanation instead of just myself, because every time I try to explain something, everyone seems to lose all their brain cells very quickly.
What's a brain cell?
Sava
It is a part of magic where thought comes from.
Sava just kind of looks over at Chisel and goes, and you are... You know what? And she goes over and presses a rune on the outer circle, and you instantly fall asleep.
Oh,
That's
we
right.
need one of those buttons for heaven.
I'm sorry, my earphones just broke. What happened?
Sava came over, pressed one of the runes outside the dome that's been healing you from whatever sickness you're dealing with, and basically shut you off.
She anesthetized you.
She put you to sleep.
Oh. I just woke up.
She put you back to sleep. You asked
Redwood knows how hard it is for me to wake up.
You asked her what a brain cell was, and she was like, yeah, we're not dealing with that. And just put you to sleep.
No one should know what a brain cell is.
True.
That is also true.
Except maybe Redwood, because apparently Magic-y Man.
Using an expansive knowledge, I'm not sure how much of the language in my own head I have to shrink down.
Thava looks to you, Redwood, and goes, "These domes are to help aid in your recovery from not only your injuries, but when we brought you back into the village proper, due to your exposure with the water."
We got
And-
herpes.
Can I please finish?
You're asleep. Shush.
Between the water and the odd creatures and just the bog in general, you two retain some sort of infection. And so you are going to feel sick for a little while. But this enchantment, this dome here, placed by Anwin, should help with the process. Just rest, food, and drink will be brought to you. But you will probably be bedridden for the rest of the day. She then
Well, I'll see you tomorrow then.
She nods and reaches out a hand. She phases through it, the dome, for a moment, risking whatever sickness you have. Gently pets Shrub's head, who kind of does like a happy little fox kit noise before pulling back and heading off in her own direction. 7.
Yee.
You wake up, unable to move.
Is this unable to move as in my body just feels so sore, or unable to move because I am being held down by something?
You are being held by something.
With what little that I could probably move, I'm going to look around and see exactly where I am and what's going on.
You are in the caverns. Again. You don't remember much about the fight ensuing after your transformation. That's unfortunately typically how your transformations always work, though.
Mm-hmm.
But it must have been bad, because when you look down, something shiny made with several loops held together keeps you pinned to a stalactite. Or is it stalagmite?
Is it on the ground
Might.
or on the ceiling?
On the ground. I never remember.
Stalagmite. Like it
Stalagmite.
might make it to the top. Stalactite holds on tight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You are pinned down to a very large stalagmite, but it's the only one in the world. You are held in place here by this shiny material that's very strong. It's not something that you could, like, break by sheer force, either. And the rock is too thick and too tall for you to start trying to shimmy your way up it, Captain Jack Sparrow style. But you also notice you don't have your gear on you.
Mm-hmm.
You were very much exposed in the moment. And your neck is sore because you've been setting up this entire time. You have been bandaged. You have been cleaned up. Any injuries you've retained have been diminished. Your nose hurts like hell. And when you go to, like, wiggle it to kind of figure out what's going on, it makes it hurt more, and you hear the sound of bone shifting against bone. As you realize your nose is broken.
Oh, that's going to be a pain in the ass.
You roll me a perception check.
Luckily dookily. That's an 18.
With your 18, you look around. This cave is rather oddly shaped and oddly carved out. It is in the shape of what I can best describe as kind of a sphere with a slightly flattened bottom. Rather egg-like, I guess is the best term for it.
Hmm.
You see 2 entrances in the cave, one almost directly in front of you and one off to your right. Both entrances are being blocked by very thick roots that have blossoms on them. And you see just barely through the small gaps that are between each root that blocks the door in a sort of like perpendicular, right? Like manner. Sort of like that of a cage.
Mhm.
You see a odd canine creature. He is made of. He looks very similar in make as the creature that you had encountered when venturing with Ven Kashale to get the Dyer's Bell. But he's very much different in that he looks more like a wolf. You see, he is resting against the roots that make these bars on one side, but on the other, you see your aunt and a figure that you have never seen before. They are tall, incredibly tall. Odd, sort of deer-like antlers coming off from their head. Pale green with deep, dark cyan, sort of like freckles that cover a good expanse of their body. You see a tail, a lion's-like tail at the end, matching in color. The end with the fur, however, being a deep forest green to match their hair, and the braid that is very similar to that of cattails in that it is a singular thin one with the rest being of their hair being scruffy, but theirs being shorter. You see they are wearing odd leather armor. It looks hardened. It's not like loose and flowy like other leather armors that you've encountered before. They have no weapons on them at the moment. You can see that their eyes are slitted and that they have fangs on them. Their ears are similar like that of an elf, in that they are pointy and go backwards towards the head, but they also have collections of fur on them as well. You see very bright tropical feathers protruding from like their forearm and elbows. They look very beast-like,
Mhm.
especially in this lighting where their eyes glow in the dark just a little bit. You look at your aunt. She doesn't look good. She's paler than when you saw her during the fight. Her ability that she had gained with her rage to create her arms and turn them into crystal is gone now. So she is back to having one arm. She has dark circles under her eyes. She doesn't really look like she's slept recently. She looks old and worn, despite the fact that she is rather young for someone of your kind. And if you'd like, roll me insight or medicine.
My insight's better, so let's do that. 14.
You look at your aunt. You look at Anwin. Your aunt and Anne. You don't have the observant feat, do you?
Nope.
Your aunt and this person that she's talking to. It's very clear that this person opposite of her wants to say something about your aunt's condition, but holds off of it. Like someone who's very clearly concerned for a friend who is ill and needs them to go and rest. But your aunt is very stubborn. She is very much, I would say, determined to clean up the mess that occurred from the fight that happened previously. She is weak. And I think in this moment that as you watch her speak more and look further into her, even though it's been years since you've last saw her, you can tell she's dying.
Seven kind of calls out from his cell. You know, rest is important. They're going to need you.
Your aunt looks over. Kind of rubs her face for a moment. Her and this figure are both in the room with you. They are on the opposite side of you where the other door is. But this figure leans against the wall, arms crossed, letting you two kind of have a moment to yourselves, but still staying in case anything goes wrong as your aunt approaches and crouches down in front of you. I think you and I need to have a talk.
Well, given my current predicament, that's all I can do.
Never explained myself as to why I left the mountains. I think it's time. You're our family. We are very much rooted in tradition.
Hey,
We are hunters, we are gatherers, we rely on each other, we partake in rituals and songs and dance from hundreds of years ago. But sometimes tradition can be a little bit more harmful than good. Before I moved down here, before I met Bella, my grandfather and your great-grandfather had become very ill. We didn't know what had caused it. But looking back on the symptoms today that people are experiencing with the blight and what happened to your great-grandfather then, I know now what it was.
it's this damn blight, or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to venture out to find us a healer. I wanted to find a way to better help our grandfather than relying on our small little village of maybe 20 people. But family refused. He was in pain for a good few months after he fell ill. He couldn't move. He couldn't hold anything down. I had begged for your mother and your father's help for us to go and vouch for a healer outside the mountains, just maybe a druid or a cleric. It wouldn't even be far, just to the sanctum maybe. Every single time I tried, they told me no. And when you're outvoted in something, there's not much you can do. I watched him wither away for months. When he died, he was not much more than skin and bones. His arms from his fingertips all the way up to his elbows were black, fading to purple. His vision was gone. His memory was barely there. And it made me realize that if they aren't willing to change their traditions for the sake of family, What are they going to do when something like this happens again? What if I fell ill? What if you, when you were very young, or your sister, mother, father, anyone in our family fell ill like that again? Were they going to, again, refuse getting help when it could have made everything better? So I left.
And well, looks like we have an answer now.
I'm sorry I never explained. But once I left, at that point, it was an exile. I wanted to reach out, I wanted to explain. But by then, the land became too dangerous. And when you arrived with your sister, I thought that maybe things could change. But then you left. I'm not going to beg you for forgiveness, because I don't think I need to. Nor do I think that I should. But now you are older, and you deserve this explanation.
Thank you for telling me all that. Though now, I'll be honest, doesn't matter. But you did get one thing right. It is time for a change. Lots of changes. Go rest.
Your aunt stands and goes, Anwin here is going to talk to you about your condition. And hopefully can provide some insight on it.
Aye.
She goes and pauses before the door and says, just do me a favor. Talk to her. Even if it's the last thing that you do before I die. You both deserve closure after everything that's happened.
When it's time.
She nods and then ducks out. When she leaves, the bars by the weird canine creature she saw earlier fall or pull away depending on the direction that they are in. And you actually see it properly for the first time. It is very weird to look at. Your brain cannot truly comprehend what's happening with its figure at all. But you can tell that it's very canine. And when it looks to you, you actually see that two of its eyes are made out of brilliant cyan crystals. And you see a rope on its neck with a singular crystal tied within it, a matching color. And it looks to you, and you hear it speak, but its mouth doesn't move. And it echoes a little bit. It sounds like it's coming from everywhere as he speaks, and he goes, my master will be able to help you. One way or another.
Let's hope so. Weird wood plant dog thing.
I am mostly plant, but I'm also part dog. It's weird.
There's a lot of things weird in this world.
That's fair.
There's a demon in my head called Hiperas. I think you two would get along.
I think you're the only one who calls him Bear Ass.
I know.
No, this is him talking to you. He's like, I think you're the only one who calls him bare ass, if I'm being completely honest.
Well,
Yeah,
if
but
you
how
met
does
him
anyone
in,
else know the name?
if you met him in person, you agree with me.
You'll roll me an insight check.
All right. 19.
It's very fascinating that you can look at a creature that you've never seen before and understand that it is thinking about something in what you just said, and you're like, when you say if you've met him in person, there's like a moment where the dog pulls like a type of face before the bars reseal shut.
Devin just chuckles to himself.
This figure in front of you, the only person that is left within the cavern that you are in, pushes themselves off the wall and looks at you. So you're Themin.
Aye? Care to tell me your name?
I'm Anwin from the Feywild.
Okay. Ah, another one, the Fae. That explains quite a lot.
Yeah, the appearance I understand can be a bit jarring for people. But I'm not you would not believe me when I tell you this, but I am not the weirdest looking one of my kind.
I need to go to the Feywild one day. You got any beasties that are good to hunt?
Oh, well, not really. Also, as someone who, you know, I'm not necessarily. How do I put this? My job is to protect beasts.
Ah, you are one of them like druidic types like Redwood is.
Bro, just ask the park ranger to hunt the bears.
Oh my god, that is just what happened.
I mean, someone has to deal with overpopulation.
Yeah?
You look to this person who's just like, well, and she just kind of chuckles for a moment and goes, I don't know if your brain could handle the Feywild, if I'm being completely honest.
I got an eldritchian unknowable horror that stokes my brain. At this point, I'm willing to try anything.
Anwin nods and goes, yeah, that's the thing that we're going to talk about.
Hey?
Your sister told me a version of what happened those years ago. The Fae have been wandering the lands of Umaria for a good while, trying to aid in the people and their advancements in all kinds of things. I'm sure you've heard of the young wizard down within Fastial, up north.
I think so. We met, I think, a princess of the Feywild? And I know Redwood got to meet like some gizzard or whatever you want to call it, and he learned some magical things from her.
Yes, the princess, my queen. Or
Aye?
as you would refer to them as your chiefess.
Aye?
Yes, she... As a result of us teaching your people of our ways, we are clearly a little bit more advanced than your modern age. I'm sorry, Casey's face when he looked over caught me so off guard.
Bro just
Oh,
really said, you the primitives.
She, actually, you watch as she reaches down into a boot and pulls something out of it. It's about the same shape and length as a dagger, but the material is shiny.
Oh yeah, one of them glowy blades.
That's right, you don't have a name for this yet, do you?
No, it's
This
pretty though.
this is called metal.
Wow.
It is tougher than stone, but when given certain amounts of heat and tempered with, can bend its shape and alter it to create tools and weapons.
Cool.
You watch as she suddenly reaches out an arm and it slightly disappears into nothing, but you see sort of like a weird aura, sort of like heat wave effect appear as she sticks her arm out, seems to grab something, and pulls out a sword made of metal. It was one of the blades that she was wearing during battle, but you don't really remember it much. There's a familiarity to it when you look at it, but she stabs it into the ground in front of you, and you watch as it actually cracks the stone of the earth by your feet. She goes, "There are currently dwarves up within the highlands at the moment, working on tempering with a very simple metal known as copper and brass. So you'll have metal eventually, but not to the extent of what this is, which is steel. Steel,
I see.
steel is also what makes up your current bindings. If you would like to do a
Awesome.
strength test on them, I highly encourage it.
Is it gonna be a strength check or a strength save?
This is going to be a strength check.
Okay.
Automatically fails.
That's a 14.
You put up a decent struggle. You actually get to a point where you do start to stand a little bit, but then it like catches on something and you feel an immediate jerk and you're forced back down onto your ass.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. That's some strong stuff.
Incredibly. She pulls the sword out and you can see that there's like still that crack from where she stabbed the blade into the ground. And she opens her hand and it vanishes in air. Some magic shit that you couldn't explain even if you wanted to. But she looks to you and goes, "Your aunt is dying.
I could tell.
We think that it's something with the blight, but considering that she has been in the dead mire with deadly pathogens and the like, other illnesses, she has a bit more of a resistance to it. It is the reason that she is stepping down and letting your sister take her place."
Hey, I piece that together.
Now, I'm not typically someone who meddles with other people's family affairs. In fact, I understand that it's very little of my business. But I have been hearing her rant about what happened to you two for the past 3 years, and I am getting tired of it.
Well, one way or another, you're not going to deal with it for long.
Good. Now, on to your main issue, as she kind of gestures to your head.
Oh yeah, that.
Baroon, correct?
Aye, yeah, that's why he calls himself.
That's because that's his name.
Aye.
And you've been
I think
calling...
badass is more appropriate.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You have been calling him Barass. Good to know. What have you learned about Baroon?
He is some kind of unknowable demon thing from this blight. He's only one of a whole bunch. And I is currently, for better or worse, trapped in my head.
Okay. You are right about the unknowable bit, to an extent. But he is not a demon.
Well, it's just a general term.
That's fair. He is actually from my home planet. He's from the Feywilds.
Oh!
I have actually been looking for him for a good bit, but you are a slippery little shit.
Well, sorry, if I knew the park ranger was coming after the thing stuck in my head, I would have wrapped myself in a gift and sit down right at the Feywild doorstep.
What's a park ranger?
Shut up. You watch as she kind of nods her head back and forth, like, yeah, that's fair. Well, it's not exactly like it's. You can't exactly go over to somebody and being like, hey, I'm here to battle your inner demons without sounding like an absolute maniac. While also looking like this.
Yeah, aye, fair.
So, I can help with your predicament. In a way, but you're going to have to trust me.
I don't think I have a choice, so lay it on me.
You watch as she rubs her hands together and cracks her knuckles and goes, Dogwood! And the weird wolf companion opens the bars once again and enters. You actually realize he is large. He is big. Bigger than your average wolf that you've seen before.
As he walks in, Devin kind of looks to her and go like, so, where can I get me one of those?
You watch as she smiles and goes, well, depending on how this goes, we shall see if you are ready for something like that.
A bit more interest peaked now. It's like, alright then.
I am going to access your mind.
Aye.
However, I'm going to be shielding you from Baru, so he will not be able to perceive you. In fact, he
Aye.
hasn't been able to perceive anything that has been happening for the past few hours.
Alright, good to know.
Just do me a favor and watch, if that makes sense.
As in, scout, but no shooting anything.
Yes, no shooting anything. It's not like you have your gear on you to begin with.
I could probably make do, depending on the environment.
Let's not shoot the big cat creature.
Aye, fine. I'll let the doctor go to work.
She nods and then goes. You watch as she puts two fingers, like she puts her hand in like a pouch that's been attached to her belt and pulls out a white chalky substance and draws a very large room by your feet. And goes, okay. So, this may hurt a little bit. Hopefully you don't pass out, but if you do, just trust me.
I don't think there's...
what's about to happen.
Well, if I'm passed out and unconscious, I have no choice but to trust you.
That is fair. You watch as she rubs her hands together with get the remainder of the chalk off, and you see her bite into her thumb with one of her fangs and tear skin there, and her blood is a very weird sort of bluish color with golden flecks in it. And she lifts it over the sigil and it plops down a couple of drops onto it. And the sigil glows. I'm going to need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Let's go. I have a 0 in Constitution. Woo! That's a 12.
Not bad. You feel nauseous as you suddenly feel yourself lurched, not just through the chains, but through your body, into what seems like another plane of existence for a moment. You are looking around and you are floating on stars. There is no floor beneath you that is visible that you can see. You see comets whirring past you. You see the moon. You see celestial bodies around you. Above table, you are in the astral plane.
Mm-hmm.
But you look around, you look down. Your body in this moment, as you look at yourself, is very much dulled. As if someone took, like in an art program, if someone made a new layer, lessened the opacity, and then put black over it.
Mm.
Creating a sort of dark shadow-like appearance to you. And no matter where you move, you are silent. Your footsteps do not make any noise. Neither do your clothing or anything like that.
Hmm.
You see Anwin. She glows slightly with a strange sort of aura about her. Probably some weird fae bullshit. And then you look over across from her and you see a large cat-like creature. It actually looks similar to the creatures that had appeared during the fight in the bog. Similar in sort of the tentacles on the back, cat-like appearance, multiple legs, but Barun has horns and glowing red eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones did not. And his tail is spiny. And he appears to have like more of a skull mask. So he's similar, but there's a lot of differences between the two.
Yeah.
And he seems to be resting until he sits up and realizes, I am not where I'm supposed to be. He looks around, and then when he finally looks at Anwin, he pauses. You hear in his voice that you've been accustomed to for a very long time. Anwin? And Anwin kneels down and goes, hello, old friend. It's good to see you again. At that, Barun stands. They are a good couple yards away from each other. And suddenly Barun gets up and breaks into a dead sprint towards Anwin. At first you panic and you're about to be like, no, thinking that Barun's going to attack, but as he's running, he changes and he shifts. His form alters. He becomes more human. Gray-skinned, weird feline sort of ears that are turned downward naturally, horns upon his head, spined tail, multiple arms, 4 arms in total. And you watch as he suddenly becomes, from this big monstrous creature that you've seen before, and turns into the form of what is closer to a preteen. You're like, hold on a minute.
So
The
he's really
mental
just
anger
an angst.
demon.
He's
Yeah,
just an
the-
angsty teen.
He's just in his emo phase.
You, me, just a general intelligence or wisdom check.
Let's do wisdom because that is higher. 15.
You look at this interaction. You watch as he changes. You've come to recognize something like this before. You were a kid once. It was many years ago, but you were a kid once. And you
Mhm.
recognize when a child is reunited with their parent. And Barun runs and clings to Anwin for a moment. And his voice changes as well. Becomes a little bit more higher pitched. And you suddenly fade from this plane back into yours. the mortal one, and you wake up, gasp. In front of you is Anwin holding what Baru's true form is.
You little shit stain.
Baru then suddenly straightens and looks to you. Hey.
Evan just stares daggers into him. Okay, now. So what does this mean now? As I turn to Alwyn.
You see that Barun, even though there's a point where he suddenly on his lower half becomes somewhat translucent. So you still see he looks like he's solid from the knees up, but then starts to fades almost as if he's not fully here on this plane with you. So you can gather that he's still technically stuck in your head, but at the moment he's with you here. And Anwin ruffles this massive hyena-like mane that he's got going on in his head and goes, "This is Barun.
Hey,
True Barun.
I gathered.
Barun is a creature, individual of the Feywilds, drawn to discourse. Unfortunately, it is not something that he has been able to fully control yet." Barun then speaks up next and goes, "I got lost.
Oh yeah, you sure did. You should have lied. You did get lost.
It wasn't
Creature after my own heart.
It wasn't but this was different than my normal getting lost. When I get lost in the Feywilds, I normally end up in another portion of the Feywilds. But in getting lost, I was drawn to something. As if I was actually tethered by a rope to something else, to a different anchor point, and I had no choice but to follow it. It just happened to be that you were that anchor point, and I don't know why.
And you think, instead of just explaining yourself like a rational person, you just like, oh, I'm gonna twist with this mortal's mind and make his life a living hell.
Anwin then gets down in front of you and goes, "He's a child who doesn't fully understand his abilities yet."
I was a child too once. I didn't act like that.
Anwin glares. Roll me a charisma saving throw.
Okay.
Disadvantage.
Jokes
Oh.
on you did act like that.
That would have been at 20 because disadvantage is 10.
You have the strong sense of fear and sudden pressure as Anwin's aura spreads and expands in the space. And even Barun seems to be struggling to fight against it and stay fully standing, despite the fact that he's not fully here.
Oh, yeah, the mama bear energy.
She realizes what she's doing, stops herself, takes a deep breath, and goes, "When you are a creature transported to a place where you do not understand something, and your base instinct is to simply survive," is what he did. And while I'm not saying what he did was right, it is clearly more than just him suddenly being tethered to you and suddenly drawn to you. Which is why I'm going to ask, do you remember anything from the night that it happened, besides the attacks?
We were out on a hunt. The snowfall picked up drastically out of nowhere, and I lost the hunting party. Then there was this individual found me. He wasn't part of the family or the tribe. I don't remember much else. Just thought it was there, and he did something. What? I don't know.
Anwin looks to you, goes, I'm going to unchain you. You will not.
Right, go ahead.
You will not be able to change because Babaroot is here. But I understand
All right,
you
cool.
can't be a dangerous individual, so if you do attack, I will kill you.
I have no reason to. I'm not just a wild beast that attacks for no reason.
Simply stating the line. As she goes
Eh?
behind the stalagmite and unchains you. You actually hear the rattling of it. It's really loud compared to like rope and stuff, and it's a little jarring, especially with the echo of the cavern. But she unchains you. It falls free. You feel the aching of your muscles finally hit you as you fully stand.
Oh, I need to lay down something soft.
Yeah. In a minute. And she goes, I'm going to do just a quick check over you, real quick.
Devin just does pretty much the equivalent of a T-pose and is like, all right, go ahead, search me, check me, whatever you need to do.
She checks you over. Does a quick scan here. We're gonna actually roll here.
Yee.
She inspects you and then pauses. Jared, if you would be so kind as to change the music to something just a little bit more ominous.
Okay, ominous.
While we do that, how's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling?
They're turning down my van.
Doing okay?
Doing okay?
Yep.
I don't
It's like not only
just sleep, but
did Seven like tell the park ranger, hey, can I hunt some of your animals? It's like, hey, can I kill your son? Your son's an asshole.
He is, though.
Trudeau.
I'm not saying that
It's like he was a kid. He made me murder my entire family. But he's a child.
It doesn't help that the park ranger's actually his mother, so
No, it
there's a little bit of bias there.
there is a little bias, yes.
Yeah.
I wish I wasn't asleep. I wish I could do something.
I'll do something in a moment.
Yeah.
You feel her stop and goes, now that is interesting.
What?
She creates an illusionary image, like sort of reflection for you to look at, and you see on the underside of the back of your arm, close to where like the juncture of like where your armpit would be, there is a odd scar that, even though you're not transformed, has these weird purple veins that are very visible on the surface of your skin. And she goes over to Baru and does a similar inspection and finds a matching scar on the same arm that is very visible despite his gray skin. And goes, oh, I think I know what happened. And I think I can explain everything. But I think it's best if you and your companions are all together.
Hey, alright then. Lead the way. Preferably to someplace with something comfy.
Can't make that as a promise, but we'll look for a bedroll, I guess. And she leads you to the infirmary cavern where your friends are. Chisel, you would have reawoken by now. What are you doing?
I'm being bored, okay? I do weird things when I'm bored.
Okay, now we're regrouping, so snap in.
Redwood and Chisel, you are both awake. And you see coming in is a bit of a battered Seven, Anwin, and a very odd looking individual following behind her. Very young. Not someone that you've seen before, but their legs are also translucent. And Sava is in a separate area of the infirmary cavern. But she's still nearby as she hears people enter and goes to check and sees you and her master appear. She narrows her eyes and goes, "Okay, I know 2 of the 3 of you."
Oh, yeah. So, the whole beastie transformation thing? It's because of this little shit.
Oh!
Devin goes to Redwood and Chisel. Oh yeah, apparently that's Beras.
Who's who?
He looks more human than Bear.
Normally, he does look more beastly. This is a new thing for me too. The whole child thing.
Anwin then
You attacked the party. You attacked Shub because of a child.
I didn't know he was a child. See, all the other times I've seen him, he is this cat-like crab skull beast thing.
It's a crab.
A cat crab.
When you explain that, Barun takes the form that he has been seen through Seven's eyes. And you see a monstrous creature that seems to naturally suck light from the room.
Oh,
Devin kind of
yes.
like turns around, sees him, like, yeah, like that.
Yes, cat crab.
And then
Ew.
he changes back into his other form.
Is this another example of what a fae is?
Apparently.
Anwin nods. This Barun is indeed a fae.
So we've met a bird, a deer, a half panther, and whatever that thing is.
Aye. Kind of makes you wonder what other beasties are in the Feywild.
I don't
Very
want to
interesting.
know.
I
Sava
do.
approaches you, Chisel, and goes, I have your tiara thing, your headband, if you would like to speak during this conversation.
I was going to wait till later tonight so I can see.
I know, but
It's
this
a
is-
Whatever
precious
the
thing for
stars
him.
are.
I understand, but I also do think that this is a little bit important.
Besides, Chisel, right now in the swamp, we're not going to get that clear to view of the stars. You should wait till we're out in the open plains. Nothing for miles to obscure the view.
Hey, it is his choice.
I know!
It is up
I
to
just
you.
want to make the best choice.
I'm not going to say that you shouldn't save it if you want to. I understand that your sight is very precious, but I'm just saying that this is a bit of
Crystal's just gonna slip on the headband and activate it. I don't know how that actually works because he doesn't have magic.
It's. You can roll an Arcana check.
I'm gonna roll an Arcana check.
Congratulations, you're a wizard.
There
Apparently with a 21.
is a magic that is held within the headband itself that only is activated through a touch of the center sort of gem on it and a word that was given to you by the chief and the princess. So you may not have any particular magic right now, but the magic that resides within the headband itself allows this ability to be given to you.
I'm going to activate it and just slowly blink. Because if you think about it, Chisel doesn't blink. He has no reason to.
Well, I mean, you still
No,
need
you
to
would-
wet the eyes.
You would still blink as even as a blind person.
I've dealt
Not
with
at
a
all.
couple of blind coworkers. Yeah.
Yeah, because blinking isn't just like refreshing; it's like it's wetting the eyes, making sure they don't dehydrate.
Yeah, so they don't become shriveled grapes in your eye sockets.
Yeah.
But you look, you see Thava again, you see redwood, shrub, Seven, and then you see this figure, two odd figures. One is gray in skin tone, and the other one is more deer-like, mixture with lion. And I think you can put together that one is Barun and the other is Anwin from their previous conversation.
So many colors.
Anwin basically forcefully turns you around or to the side, Seven, and does the same with Barun to expose that scar that's there on your upper arm, sort of towards the back. And go, what does that look like to all of you?
The scar.
I don't know. It looks like skin.
The scar in question doesn't look familiar to anyone whenever he transforms or anything like that, or to anything else that you've encountered yet.
I've seen him transform twice. The first time I beat the shit out of him with fire. The second time I threw a... What the fuck was that thing?
I haven't seen him at all.
Well, the second time I was a bear.
I know that whatever those were, they were clearly creatures that I could have some influence over, which allowed me to come in and help. The scar itself looks rather similar to scars retained from blight.
Hey, so like the chief probably had it. I think the rabbit had it. You remember the rabbit?
Yes, I remember the rabbit.
The poor rabbits.
But Barun has a matching one. Seven had told me of an individual that he had encountered during his hunt when he was separated from his hunting party. I think whoever that individual was forced a connection between him and Barun. And in doing so, in Barun's fear and panic, was unable to act rationally,
I'd say.
resulting in the incident that led you all here, Seven and Saba. I tried, when I was in your mind, Seven, while you were unconscious, I tried also attempting to access Barun's memories of that incident. He doesn't have any.
And we're on the same boat, more or less.
I would like you to make me a history check, though.
Okay.
Do it with advantage.
You can see their memories?
Good that I had advantage, because now that's 17.
You remember, you start putting pieces together. The blight, the weird plants that you had seen in the ritual circle with the oracles when they were attacking you. The strange similarities between your scar and the scars that the chief pertained from his encounter of transforming. The weird differences in your physical form that occur during your transformation. The rabbit. Everything that you've encountered so far with the blight. You put two and two together. The plant that you had encountered during the ritual circle had something in them that was infused into something that was used to harm you and therefore passed a version of blight onto you. And somehow, due to Barun's natural drawing through discourse and strife, he was drawn to this new opening within a new place. In being drawn in, the moment that he made contact with you, due to the irregularity and power of the blight at that time, even though it was still very new, resulted in him going down to base bestial instincts. No rational thought, no ability of control whatsoever. All of it shut off and gone to hunt, survive. Which in turn caused him to take control of the form that he was forcibly pushed into, and do exactly what he felt was necessary for him to stay alive. Because he was in a plane that he's never been to before. He's a kid. And he was basically infected with the blight.
Yeah. At this point, I don't care about the reasoning. I care about getting it undone or fixed.
Anwin nods. I can't remove him from you. That is unfortunately something that is not within my power. But I do believe that there is a way to begin the removal process.
Right then?
Are any of you familiar with the goddess Ithis?
Oh, god damn it.
Oh, you know her.
When the gods came to this place to create Umaria, they inadvertently opened up doorways to other places of existence, such as the Feywilds, which is why I and other Fey are able to freely come and go as we please. When we first made contact with them, we made a deal. They told us of ways that we can procure power and respect for the new race that they were going to implement onto the planet. And in return, we would help advance their people to become better, stronger, smarter. Ithis is not just a goddess of fire and riddles. She is a goddess of primordial fire. She is the fire that makes and destroys creation and destruction. She is the physical manifestation of both of those things. What comes from the dead must be reborn. Light, if you haven't noticed from your encounters, is very much susceptible to fire. She looks over to you, Redwood, but I think you already know that.
Oh, fucking course it is. I had hoped and assumed it was only due to the fact that the thing we thought were plants.
Well, we did have fought more than just plants thus far, I think.
Well, the oracles were attacked by vines, and then the thing in the cave was a giant plant. That's
Then
kind of
there's-
been our basis.
No, the thing in the cave was just plant, so yes, it was going to burn. That wasn't light related. That was there to protect the Dyer's Bell.
Oh,
Wait, you killed it?
It's not
Yeah.
like we had a choice.
yes?
It was one of those kill or be killed moments.
Is that a problem?
No, I'm just surprised.
Thanks?
I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying that the creature that you had encountered was a creation made from a mixture of handiwork from both the Fae and the gods. No.
It's dead now. You're welcome.
I mean, I'm not upset. I'm really not. I'm just saying it's impressive.
Right.
She then looks and goes, "You and Barroon 7 have more of a connection than just mental and physical. You are connected spiritually,
Right.
which means that something as strong as primordial fire is going to be the only thing that is able to singe and break that tether. Where he is now within you, he cannot go home. Otherwise, you would have had to done so a long time ago.
So until I take a dip into a lake of primordial fire, I'm stuck babysitting.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you looked so ready to say, well, and it just, yeah.
yeah. But
Right.
I can aid. I can aid you in that. She's going to then go and look at your ring and go, "Can I see that for a moment?"
Hey, fine. He takes it off and hands it to her.
She takes the ring, places it on the ground, smacks it with the flat of her palm, and you guys hear what sounds like a hammer hitting an anvil as she smacks down on this ring hard. You see glow, strange, bright, and when she lifts her hand, the ring isn't roughly carved stone anymore, it's metal.
Hey, just like my hammer. Huh?
She hands you the ring and goes, "That will allow you to shape at will. You'll also
Hey.
be able to tell friend from foe.
Oh.
Good.
Barun will still transform you whenever you are low, but that will count as one of your charges."
Alrighty then.
So basically, this item has been enhanced.
Uh-huh.
You now have a number of transformations equal to your proficiency bonus,
Okay.
and they need to recharge every dawn.
Okay.
One charge is exclusively held for specifically when you get to that point of your third health and you are forcibly transformed. The rest can be transformations during battle.
Okay.
Still similar effects and things like that. You are now able to obviously tell friend from foe, so you don't just attack the nearest thing anymore.
Okay, good.
Anwin looks to you and goes, "And you will also be able to communicate with Bob."
Great.
I know how that sounds, but
Aye, do you now?
it might actually prove to be advantageous for you.
How so?
Barun then speaks up and goes, "Because I am attracted to blight, I can,
Alright, so you're my hunting wolf. Got it.
yes, I can basically sense as long as there's large enough sources of it, as long as it's concentrated into a large enough area, I can find it, basically."
Hey. Well, that will be useful.
At that, Thava looks over to Baru and goes, "Okay, so are you able to sense any blight within the dead mire?" Barun takes a second and goes, "Yes, I can." She goes, "Where is it?" Goes, "Not too far from here. A portion of the swamp has been overrun with it." I don't know how to explain what I'm feeling, but it's like it's in the ground. but also above ground. I can follow. It's basically I can follow the scent of it, but it's whatever whatever it is that's making this concentration is large.
Sounds like a tree. Redwood, we're going to need a lot of fire.
You are
muted,
you are
KT.
muted.
You're muted.
Oh, god damn it.
To both.
Yes. Well, yes, to both. God damn it.
Wynn looks to you, Redwood, and goes, have you had contact with Ithis at all?
Yes.
You have.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe, but I'm 90% certain that, well, let's just say yes.
I do know of a person who can lead you into her direction. Are you familiar with the God of Omens?
Is that to be a religion check?
That would be
Note.
that would be a religion check.
Might as well try.
Where's those three?
17 ain't bad for
Not bad at
7.
all.
12.
14.
So Seven and Redwood, you two hear the title God of Omens. Your world is very much not just based on religion, but also based on superstition. The God of Omens isn't just a god of good omens, they are a god of bad omens. Basically, they're there to sort of signify sort of stuff. They're like the trickster animal that you would encounter in like a fable, like Pinocchio or something like that. They're not bad, but they're not good. They're very much neutral on the scale. They are also a god of trickery and travelers. People who are traveling typically wear a symbol related to this god. Mainly people who travel for very long distances and things like that. People believe that wearing it means that they will encounter more good luck and be on this god's good side. And Anwin goes, due to Ithis's love for riddles, as that being one of many domains, and this god's love for trickery, they technically share a section of that domain. So if anyone was to be able to find her, it would be them. However, their domain also being that of travelers means that they don't stay put in one place for very long.
So it's a scavenger hunt.
The last time I encountered this god, I encountered them within the Great Forest.
Oh, hey, Redwood, you're from there, aren't you?
Yes.
Hey, we get to see you on both.
Oh, yes.
But I also know that they had paid a visit to the Knotted Rise.
Ah.
And
Which part of the rise?
closer towards the north, further into the mountains. She immediately, her eyes go wide as she points to you and goes, I met your family!
How are
Oh,
they? I was, 90 of them now, I think? It has been about 10 years since I've last seen them. And I don't know how to write.
You said there were 90?
Yeah.
Last I saw them, there were only like 60, 70 of them.
what?
The numbers are not 90.
What? What happened? What?
Don't. They wouldn't tell me, but their numbers, they're not. I'm sorry, I didn't. I thought you knew.
I hate to be the downer, but how was I supposed to know? I can't read, and
I would have assumed that you went to go and visit them at some point.
no, I was mostly looking for a way to fix my sight, and I don't get mail.
What's
Mail is
mail?
also not a thing. You start
Yes, but
bleeding,
I
you start
don't.
bleeding
I
profusely from your nose.
just. I don't get packages. I don't get anything.
Right. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this then. Do you plan on heading back there at any point?
Hope so.
Well, if this Omen feller is in the North of the Rays, we're going to be there eventually.
I don't think that they are there now. I do believe that they have resided in the Great Forest for the past few weeks. I think that there's also something happening over there that would draw them there.
You know, it's rather convenient that all of the places where we have family is getting hit. You know?
Aye. That is weird, right? But I guess the world's only so big, isn't it? And if this blight populates where there's a lot of people,
Nose starts to bleed.
It's a
The-
small world after all.
The archivist
It's
immediately
a small world after all.
The archivist immediately slams the book shut. They are becoming too sentient.
Just
they're questioning their existence.
the blind one has found out.
Stop!
The blind one sees what no one else sees.
Anwin looks to you and goes, "So you have a couple of goals." Thava wishes to eradicate the blight from the dead mire, which she must do before becoming chiefess. However, Thava is unfortunately not in a place where she can travel.
So, as expected, the responsibility will fall to me. And if Red Witches would like, I would like their help.
Thava then
You asking for help?
He is really
I-
falling apart.
We can talk about this later.
Thava looks to you and goes, "I can send some men with you."
Let's see how things go first, yeah?
I do have a lay of the land, so I can go with you to a point, but afterwards you three are on your own.
Hey.
She looks like she wants to say something else and then stops. And I think this is also the moment when you realize that Thava doesn't look like she did when you first arrived.
What happened to all this? As Stefan gestures to just all of her.
It's just
After I arrived to Flexath, Anwin also did, about 3 years ago. During that time, we were very much not in a... Sorry, something happened. Discuss it later. We were very much in a weak position. And a lot was falling on to everyone's shoulders. We didn't have the men to defend ourselves. And so Anwin gave me a gift. Which has allowed me to She calls it a shifter. That is what
Aye.
we can take the forms, partial forms of animals, and gain abilities from them.
See. Seven kind of thinks for a
That
second.
count as that? Does that count Devin as a shifter too?
No,
No.
Seven's thing is completely different.
Oh yeah, this is much different. Aaron, if you're still here by the time we get back, I would like to have a chat with you.
And I think with that, we shall end the session here.
Well,
Thank you everybody so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode of 20-Sided Archives, Chapter 1, Chronicles of Umaria. I said that in the wrong order. It's fine.
you're good. Book 1.
Book 1. And we will see you next week for episode 8. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way,
Bye.
by the way, we are attempting to reach 500 subscribers on YouTube. So if you know anybody who may be interested in our content, share it with them. It would help a lot because once we hit that threshold, we can start monetizing and therefore make this full time for us to continue developing this content for you guys. So,
Yee.
thanks so much. See you next time. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.